In this video, we will start with the fifth module, which is macro processor. These are the contents: introduction, macro definition, and expansion. What is meant by a macro? Macro represents a commonly used group of statements in the source programming language. A macro instruction is a notational convenience for the programmer. So this macro, it is similar to functions in high-level language. So functions are group of statements which performs a particular task. Functions are defined in the program, and in the main program these functions are called whenever it is required. And again we can see what is a macro processor. Whatever processes the system software which processes the macro is known as macro processor. What it does is it will expand the macro call. Normally it performs no analysis of the text it handles. It does not concern the meaning of the involved statements. The design of a macroprocessor is machine independent. Macros are similar to functions in a high-level language. For example, consider this C program. In this function, add function is used. So first we have to give the definition of the function. After that, in the main program, we can call the function. So this is the function call. Similar to that, in an assembly language, we can give the definition of the macro, and then in the main program, we can call the macro. So what a macro processor does is, when it encounters a macro call, it will replace or substitute the for the formal parameters with the actual parameters. For example, this execution of this program starts from main, and this lines gets executed, and then when function call is encountered, the program control will go to the definition of the function, and this actual arguments are substituted for the formal arguments x and y. So this based on the positional notation. X is given the value 5 and y gets the value 4. So z is equal to x plus y, 5 plus 4 equal to 9, and this printf statement prints the sum is 9. And then after executing the statements in the function, it will come back to the place where it is called in the main program. If any other statements are there, that will also get executed. After that, it stops. Function definition has a syntax. Similar to that, this macro definition also has a syntax. For macro definition, two new assembler directives are used, macro and ment. Macro identify the beginning of a macro definition, and ment identify the end of the macro definition. So this is the prototype for the macro definition, or syntax for the macro definition. First, the macro name is given, name of the macro, similar to name of the function. Then, for example, if the add function means this name here, it will be add. And then macro, the keyword macro is used in capital letters. Then the parameters, whatever the parameters, formal parameters, and each parameter begins with ampersand symbol. So that is a syntax here. And then the body of the macro. After this macro gets completed, then the assembler directives ment is used, macro end, to indicate the end of the macro definition. So this is the syntax for the macro definition. Body. This body, the statements that will be generated as the expansion of the macro. We can see an example of a macro in an assembly language program. Consider the example of an SIC XC program using macro instructions. So here two macros are used, rdbuf and wrbuff. rdbuf is for reading, that is for input, reading from the input device to the buffer. Buffer means it's a temporary memory location. And wrbuff, writing the buffer contents to an output device. So here we can see the program. So copy starts 0, and this rdbuf macro, this rdbuf is the name of the macro, and this is a keyword macro. Then these are the parameters. Each parameter, input device, buffer address, and record length, each parameters are preceded with the symbol ampersand. So this is the macro definition. We can identify that with the keyword macro. And then these are the body of the macro. Whatever that happens inside the, whatever code is there inside the macro. And then this is the end of the macro, end. Then the second macro, similar to another function, wrbuff, then the keyword macro, then output device, buffer address, record length. These are the parameters. And then these are the body of the macro, then again ment. So this is the example for the definition of macro. So here we can see in the this is the main program. In the main program, this macro is getting called. First STLRETDR. So here rdbuff, this macro name is used. In C language, for example, we can call the add function in the main program. Similar to that, this rdbuff is called here with actual parameters. F1, this is the input device, and buffer address, this is the record length. So these are the actual parameters. So this is the macro call or macro invocation. So here after some lines, this wrbuff macro is also called. Then the remaining program, then end. So now we can see how the output of a macro processor, that is the expanded program, looks like. See, it starts from the main program, copy start 0, and all the other statements are same, first STLR, ADR, and whenever a macro call is encountered or macro invocation is encountered, that time it is represented as a command line. This dot represents commands in assembly language, SICXC and SIC dot represent commands. So this macro invocation or macro call statement is denoted as a command, and then this is the expansion of the macro, that is this formal arguments are replaced by the actual arguments. These lines are from the macro definition, and after the macro definition is over, it comes back to the main program, and lines in the main program are written. So this is the output of the macro processor or expanded program. So now we can see this with a simple program which we can understand better. So this is another simple example is given below. Program with the macro. So this is the input to the macro processor, and expanded program, this is the output of the macro processor. So what a macro processor does is it has to expand the macro calls and produce the output. So here see this ex1 macro ampersand a ampersand b. So this is a until mend. This is the definition of the macro. So in the beginning itself, similar to function definition, we have to give the definition of the macro in the beginning. So this macro keyword indicates that whatever follows is the definition of the macro. So here whatever given is the name of the macro, then macro keyword, and then these are the formal parameters, ampersand a and ampersand b. And then this is the body of the macro. Only two statements are included in the body of the macro for simplicity. Then LDA ampersand A, STA ampersand B. Then MENT. And this is the main program. How we identify the main program? With the start keyword. Start keyword is used to identify the main program. Sample, the program name is sample, start 1000. We already know that any assembly language program has 3 columns, 3 fields. First field is label field, and this middle field is the opcode field, and this right side field is the operand field. So here with the start in the operand field, we'll give the starting address of the program. And here we can see this ex1 is given here. The macro name is given here, which means it is a macro call, like function call. And these are the actual arguments, n1 and n2. So n1 and n2, these are variables, so we had to define those variables, declare those variables. N1 reserved 1, N2 reserved 1. Then end, main program end. So this is the program which we give as input to the macro processor. So which contains macro definition, and in the main program, wherever it is required, macro is called. So how we'll write the output of this program, what a macro processor does, that is the program execution start from the main program only. So the first line of the output will be the start statement. This definition are not included in the output. So this first line of the output will be the main program which is start from the start statement. Sample start 1000. No processing of this line is required. So it is exactly written to the output. Sample start 1000. And then here we can see this is a call. So wherever macro call occurs, we have to replace it with the definition part. So ex1, n1, and 2. This call is given as a command line preceded with the dot symbol, command line in the output. Then this n1 and 2. This macro call means it will go to the definition. So this n1 is given to A and n2 is given to B. So LDA n1. So that is the next line. LDA n1, B is n2. So STA n2. Then mend means this macro is finished. Then it has to, the program control will come back to where it is, this macro is called. And if there is any other remaining lines, it is also copied to the output. So N1 reserve word 1 is copied to the output, and the next line is N2 reserve word 1, that's also copied to the output, then end. So this processing is over. So what we have to understand here is the macroprocessor, what it does is it will replace the macro call. Only it will process the macro call. This macro call will get replaced by the macro definition. So the output does not contain this definition part. Output starts from the main program only, and wherever this macro call is there, it will get replaced by the definition of the macro. Macro definition statements have been deleted since they are no longer required after the macros are expanded. So in the output, we will not write this definition part of the macro. Each macro invocation, which means call, macro call statement, has been expanded into the statements that form the body of the macro with the arguments from the macro invocation, which means actual arguments, is substituted for the parameters in the macro definition, which means the formal arguments. Actual arguments are substituted for the formal arguments. Macro invocation or macro call statement is included as a command line in the expanded program or output program. After macro processing, the expanded file can be used as input to the assembler. So this after this macro processing, the expanded file, the output of the macro processor, is given as input to the assembler, and it can be converted to the object program. So now we can see the difference between macro and subroutine. Both are similar because subroutine is also similar to function, macro also similar to function. So what is the difference? The statements that form the expansion of a macro are generated and assembled each time the macro is invoked. So whenever this macro is called, this expansion takes place by the macro processor. But statements in a subroutine appear only once, regardless of how many times the subroutine is called. So this is the difference between macro and subroutine.